All right, so good morning, everybody, and let's continue our discussion on Hadoop. So today we are going to talk about Maven, and let us see what exactly a Maven is and how can you use the Maven in your Hadoop projects. So the discussion is on Maven, right? Now we all know that if you are working on Hadoop projects, so you'll have to gather some jars, right? We had a lot of jar files. From there, we fine tune it to 5, 6 jars, right? And then we are able to run our, usual word count problem or this problem and that problem, right? But in the real time, you will not, use this approach anytime to manage your dependencies, right? So to manage dependencies, you have a lot of tools, and Maven is nothing but a dependency management tool. Okay, so I'll basically say it's basically a project build tool. Okay, project build tool. Now, what does it mean, right? So when you have a lot of projects and there are dependencies, like project A should be compiled first, then project 2, then project 3, and so on, right? So there could be a dependencies between projects, and there could be a dependency on a lot of libraries. Whenever you're working on certain third-party libraries, right, it is always recommended to use some build tool like Maven to manage your dependencies. Okay, now Maven has a website called mvnrepository.com. We will see that. Okay, now this website contains all the possible libraries which are free. Okay, it contains all the free libraries, whatever you can think of in Java, right? So this concept is not just specific to Hadoop. Okay, it is applicable to all the Java projects. Okay? now now if you want to work with Maven, there are two things. One is you need to install Maven. You can install Maven in your operating system, or even if you don't install Maven in your operating system, by default when you install Eclipse, right, when you install IntelliJ, it has that capability. Okay, which means you really don't need to install Maven on your system separately. So now we will try to understand how do we work with this Maven altogether, right? So Maven has a website, Maven repository, wherein you'll find all possible jars, all possible jars, right? And one more thing, in Maven world, okay, in Maven world, uh, there is a concept of coordinates. Okay, there is a concept called coordinates which can be used to uniquely identify a particular library. Okay, so if let's say if I have a file, let's say the file name is Hadoop Commons, right? This is a jar file. Let's assume this is a jar file. So every jar file will have usually some version, is not it? Let's say 3.2.0 right? Now to represent this jar file in your Maven, you need three information. Okay, to identify a particular jar, right? In terms of Maven, you have coordinates like group ID, okay, and then you have artifact ID, okay, and then you have version, right? So these are basically the three properties which can be used to uniquely identify one particular uh, artifact, one particular, I would say, jar file, right? So in case of our Apache Hadoop, right? So let's say Apache Commons, right? So in case of your Apache Common, what you'll have to do is the group ID would basically be the company name, the organization name, the department name, which has built this, jar. So it could be org.apache.hadoop, right? Now, the artifact ID would be basically the artifact would be this name. Okay, so Hadoop Common right? And this version would be basically the version number, or 3.3.0 or 3.2.1 and so on. Is not it? So that is how your jar file, your Maven can identify any particular jar file. Okay. Now, whenever you are working with a Maven project, your Maven project, okay, so let's assume this is your Maven project. Let's say word count Maven, right? So let's assume this is your Maven project. You have created a Maven project in your Eclipse or IntelliJ, and here you'll get those source and all, right? But what is important for us to understand is you get a file called pom.xml, right? So this pom.xml file is basically a file which can be used to specify all the dependencies. Whatever dependency you need as part of your program, you'll have to put them on your pom.xml. Okay. All right. So usually the pom.xml will have, a lot of other entries that starts with project. Okay. And here you'll have a dependency tag. Here you'll have a dependency tag. Okay. So you'll have dependencies. The first tag would be dependencies. And then you'll have this dependency would be closed here, dependencies. Okay. Now within this, there would be a lot of dependency. Okay, so these are basically XML files. So if you go to your pom.xml, you'll see that it has project and then a couple of information, and then you have a dependency tag. Now this would be one dependencies tag wherein you'll put all your dependencies, and then all the dependencies would be like a XML data like this. So if I have five, if I need 5 jar files to configure in my Maven project, then I'll write this 5 times. And inside this, what you'll have is this information, the group ID, the artifact, and then the version. Okay. So let's go back and let's start, configuring our project. We'll convert our project into a Maven project and let's see how it goes. Okay. So back to the screen now. Okay. So we are in our system now, right? And what we will do is let's open Fusion. Now I'll go to my home, I'll go to Eclipse and let me launch Eclipse. We are in our Eclipse project, right? So what we'll do is let's create a new Maven project. So what I want to show you also is, let me go back to my terminal. Okay, let me go back to my terminal. Okay, and let me say MVN. All right. So I have not installed Maven right now. Okay. I've not installed Maven right now, but what I want to tell you is, even if you have not installed Maven, when you have installed your Eclipse, then by default it comes with some sort of Maven. Okay. Now let's go back to Eclipse again, and I'll say right click new. Okay. So you can say project, and you can go little down, scroll little down, and you'll see Maven. Okay. So Maven, and then you can say Maven project. You can choose this, or you can also type it here, Maven, right? And you get a Maven project here. Done. Say next. Okay. And then you can say create a simple project and say next. Okay. Now you are going to create a new Maven project. So as I've told you, every Maven project has a group ID, artifact ID, and a version, right? Even though you are creating it, but you must specify that, right? So group ID can be anything. I'll say in.olc, right? OnlineLearningCenter.in. Artifact ID, I can say word count Maven, any project, whatever you're building, right? And the version name, whatever you want to keep, okay, 001, 002, or you can remove the snapshot and so on, right? And then rest everything would be same. Okay, so just say finished. Now when you do so, then it basically creates a Maven project for you. Okay, now if you try to compare if you try to compare, see, this was your original, these were basically your non-Maven projects. These were plain Java projects, right? And the Maven project looks like this. See, under your source, you have nothing, right? It was all created by us. But in your Maven project, you'll have, under your source, you'll have main and test. In main, you will put your Java classes. In your test, you will put your test classes. Okay, so we will learn that how do you write a test cases as well little later. But yeah, so all the test cases will go here. All the source code of the main code will go here, right? Okay, and then source main Java, right? All Java code will go here. Okay, all your Java code will go here. Okay, and all your resources means, for example, I want to write a program that can read some data from some sort of let's say that read some properties from some property file. So those property file, you will keep it on your resource. Okay, and these two are basically your development code, right? Code will be here under your source main Java. All your supporting files, right? For example, I may say I have a file which contains some information about how to connect to a database, right? So those configurations you will put here. Okay, similarly, if you're writing some test cases, your test cases will be written under source test Java. Okay, and whatever side file you need to support this test case Java file would be written under your source test resources. Okay, that's how it would be. So this is the same thing, right? Okay, now let's go to this pom.xml, right? So as I've told you, you will have a pom.xml wherein you'll have some information like group ID, artifact ID, version, and other stuff, and within that you will enter your dependencies here. Okay, now the first thing first, let's go back to our docs. Okay, so we are in our document wherein we are saying how do we configure our project into a Maven, how do we configure our dependency in a Maven project, right? So you need to add the below dependencies from the Maven repository website, just add them in your pom.xml, right? So what you have to do is you'll have to add these dependencies, right? So see, it starts with the dependencies. So let's go back to Ubuntu. Okay, now here the first thing is write dependencies, right? Under these dependencies you will have those dependency, right? Now this dependency will have to pick it from our Maven repository website, right? Now let's go back again. So let's go back to Word. And what are the libraries you're looking for? You are looking for Hadoop Client Api, you're looking for Hadoop Client Runtime, and you're looking for SL4, just simple. Okay, let's try to do that. So first thing first, in order to run a program, okay, you need a Hadoop Client Api and runtime, client runtime, right? So I'll copy this and let me open browser. Okay, let me open browser and I'll go to this Maven repository. So you just say Maven repository, right? Just Google it out and you'll get them in the first page, right? Now here you can say I'm looking for Hadoop Client Api because I felt that this is the required jar, otherwise it is not even getting compiled. Okay, now Hadoop Client API, click on it. Okay, now the one which we are learning right now is the recent one over here, right? This is what we are learning right now. So you can choose this. Tomorrow when like tomorrow, after 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, 1 year, you will see that the newer versions are available, right? So likewise you can go ahead and pick any other version also. Okay, so let me click on this 3.3.0. okay, let me click on this 3.3.0 and this should open a new page and it should give us the Maven coordinates for 3.3.0. So these are basically the Maven coordinates, right? So group ID, artifact ID, and version. Copy this. Okay, you don't even have to say Control C. Just click on it and it will be copied. Okay, just click on it and it will be copied. Done. It's copied. Now what we'll do is let's go back to VMware. Let's go back to Eclipse and say paste. right? So we have added one dependency over here. Now the next dependency is, right? So see, once you save this file, you have to again start running your program. And if you hit into some other error, then you should go back and like put more files. So we will do that also. All right. So let me go back to this program wherein we had driver, mapper, and reducer. I'll copy this and let me go to source main Java and let me paste it here. So all the resources are copied. Okay, package. Yeah, package. I have to move it to a package. Move into this package. Okay, so we have, that automatically creates a package in.olc and keeps your driver class over there. So likewise, let me copy this file, or I can say, yeah, so I can say copy and I'll paste it over here. Okay, and say refresh. And I can delete this. Okay, so we have our driver program, we have our mapper and our reducer. Okay, all right. Now if I go back to my driver, mapper, and reducer, if you see, they are all clean, right? Which means they are all compiled successfully. But you can try it, try to execute it. Let me go to my mapper code, because I know I have done some I think it was not saved. Okay, no worries. So our mapper, driver, and reducer code is as usual what we had seen earlier. Okay, now let's try to run this program. I'll say run as, but before running this program, make sure that your server is up and running, your Hadoop server is up and running, because you're using SDFS. So Hadoop start all .sh. So Hadoop services are up and running. Now let's go back and let's try to run this program. Okay, we have included only one jar file. So I'll say run as Java application, right? So if you see, it's saying, hey, I'm not able to find another jar now, right? Again, we'll have to start hunting. What is the next jar file which you're not able to find, right? So again, you can just say this file, where exactly it is, right? Copy this and then again say Control Shift T, right? And say paste, right? Now if you see, they are present in Hadoop Client Runtime jar, right? And I'm able to do that just because I have one project where those jar files are already present. It's not it. So let's go back and hunt for that file as well. So you'll say Control Shift T and say paste to find out that you need Hadoop Client Runtime jar as well, right? So save. Sorry, yeah, save. Okay, so we have just added Hadoop Client API, but it is saying I need Hadoop Client Runtime as well. Okay, now let's go back to Ubuntu. So let's go back to our host, and you need this Hadoop Client Runtime as well, right? So again, what you will have to do, search for this Hadoop Client Runtime in your Maven, right? I'll start searching here. Okay, and then click on Hadoop Client Runtime, right? Now from here you pick up your Hadoop Client Runtime. Now from this page you can also pick up the Cloudera version of Hadoop Client Runtime, Hortonworks version of Hadoop Client Runtime, right? So it totally depends on which like ecosystem you are using. So we are using the Apache one, so this is what we have to pick up, right? So again, just click on it. You don't have to copy paste, it will be automatically copied, and then happily go back to your VMware and just say paste. Okay, so this is a comment you can ignore, you can have it, no problem, but make sure that all of them are inside your dependencies. Okay, all of them are inside your dependencies. You can also try doing something like this. You just say Control A to copy, to select all of them, and then you can say Control Shift F. Okay, and this will format your XML file, and this is how it should look. Okay, this is how it should look, right? And as I have told you that this line number 17 is comment. Now if you see, the moment I saved this, it started downloading, right? So it started downloading this particular file runtime.jar from Maven repository. Okay. All right. Now let's again go back and let's try to run our program. I'll say run as Java application. Okay. Now if you see, you are able to get the output, right? Which means your example is all good. Your example is all working great. Now, as usual, if you want to enable that logging system, right? So you'll have to add one more jar. And what is that jar, guys? That is basically your SL4J simple jar, right? So let's go back to this place and SL4J simple. This is what you also need to have, and say paste, search it here. Okay, and click on it, and you can choose anything, whatever looks better. So copy this, I mean click on it and it gets copied. Go back to your Maven project and say enter, and then say paste. Okay, the moment you save this, Control S, it will start downloading this jar file from the Maven repository into your local system, and then starts using that as a reference. Okay, again you can just say select all. You can say Control A, select all, and then Control Shift F to format. Okay, any line if you want to delete, you can just say Control D, that deletes the current line. Again, keep your cursor here, say Control D, then it will delete the current line, right? So that's how it would be. All right, so now what we will do is we have added this jar as well. Save it, and then again go back to your driver program, and let's run this program again. Run as Java application. Right, again if you see, we have still not got that information, because I believe we are missing this. What is that? We are missing this source log4j.properties, right? So let me put them under my source. Okay, and let's try to run this again. It's not working. Okay, let me put it on the resource. Sometime you may have to put it in some other place, and I'll say paste under my resources. I pasted this and say run as Java application. I think it is still not. Let me check it out. Let me see my notes if I have mentioned anything very specific. No, I did not. Okay, so let me figure it out why exactly it is really not working out in this case. But yeah, so like you'll have to put this in a proper place. I will have to just figure it out, right? So I'll just have to figure it out what is the proper place to put this log4j. But this is the whole concept, right? So this is the whole concept. What you need to do is you just have to add couple of jars. Now you may ask me a question here. In this example, you have just added 3 jar files, whereas when we did that manually, we had to add at least 6, around 6, right? Why is it so? Okay, see, the reason is when you are working with Maven, Maven has some capability to pull its dependency as well. Okay, and that is the reason when you added this client API jar in your Maven repository, then along with this many things has also come. Okay, again when you configure this, again along with Hadoop client runtime, many other things has also come, and that is how like you don't have to really add a lot of jars. Having said that, it will not happen that you just add one jar and everything will come automatically, right? So there are some correlationship between those jars, and they are all configured in your Maven. So when you try to pull one jar, it will also try to bring all the associated jar along with that, right? So, and that is the reason you really don't have to put all the jar files over here. Okay, now one more thing I would like to show you. Whatever jar file you specify there, they all will be downloaded under your .m2 folder. There is a folder called .m2, and everything will get downloaded over there. Let me just have a look on it. So I'll go back to my Ubuntu, and I'll say cd home. Okay, and let me say ls-la to show me the hidden files as well. Right, ls-la will also show you the hidden files and folders, and all this dot, whatever it starts, right? In Linux, hidden file starts with the dot. Okay, so this m2 is basically a folder which is created right now when we started working with this Maven. Okay, so .m2 is basically a folder, Maven folder, wherein you'll see all your dependencies are getting downloaded. So cd.m2 ls cd repository ls, right? Now see, I just had imported only few jars and automatically a lot of things are downloaded here, right? Now cd org ls cd apache ls cd hadoop. See, a lot of things are downloaded. Org apache hadoop ls, okay, client API, client runtime API, and so on, right? So again, cd hadoop client API ls. Okay, now if I say pwd, this is what the structure is, right? This is my /home sd user. Under that I have .m2 folder. Under that there is a repository. You will find this in your system as well. After that, this is basically your uh, artifact ID, is not it? Sorry, this is basically your group ID, and this is your artifact ID, and then you have a folder again. You have a folder again with a version. If I see, I'll show you. Like if I go back and I say I don't need 3.0, I think my project needs 3.2.1. Okay, let me also do the same thing here. 3.2.1. Right, this will still run your program, right? But when you save it, see, it's saying building. See, look at the bottom, it says building, right? And if I click on this, you can see it is downloading something, right? It is downloading something from your Maven repository, right? See, it's downloading all the 3.2.1 version required jars, and these jars would be exactly kept under here. Okay, now I'll say ls. I got 3.2.1 as well, right? Similarly, you configure whatever. For each version, there would be a folder, and inside that folder, you will see a lot of stuff here. And what are we exactly interested in is this jar file, right? So that is how your Maven actually works, right? So all you have to do is specify the required dependency in your pom.xml, and they will be downloaded under your m2 folder, and you can like that would be used in your project. Okay, all right. So having said that, this is good that okay, we have we have done something with this Maven, but it is also important that we install Maven in our system.